Hi Steve, thanks for coming to talk to us about what it's like to be homeless in Chester.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's nice to have the opportunity to discuss something I always thought about in the past, but I never believed it would actually happen to myself. Going back some time, I had a family, a house, a car, a boat. I had around me what I'd worked very hard for, and out the blue, all of a sudden, my marriage totally broke up, and a period of time after the marriage breakup, I couldn't focus on the work I was doing for Shell, and unfortunately I couldn't continue doing the job, so obviously then I'd lost my job, and then a bit more time went along the scale time wise, and unfortunately I had to let the house go because I had a mortgage on the property. And before I knew it, one minute I'm going from somebody who had a family lifestyle to somebody who had literally nothing, and I'm beginning to think, my God, is this homelessness? And I was in like a dream world, and I was thinking to myself, God, it's really happening to me, and I never thought it would. So I had to use information from the library and sources that eventually I found out a charity called CATH, which means Chester Aid to the Homeless, which is known as the Harold Thompson Day Centre here in Chester. So I made myself along to the place and found out that they could provide hot food and drink, also medical support or help if you have any medical conditions, computer support for looking at a way to get yourself back into employment, and all the different types of support team to get you back on track again. So I went from being such high up on the ladder with no cares in the world to the next minute having literally bottom end of the ladder. I began to realise I had to go step by step. It took a fair length of time, but I knew that I had nothing to lose now, I could only gain. And by the help of Harold Thompson Day Centre and the staff and various members that work there, I started to put the pieces back together. So the first thing I needed really was a roof over my head. I literally was on the streets, and it's not a nice experience, but I've experienced it and I knew I needed to move on. So through the step by step, I got myself into the system, and I went through the system, and at the end of that system means I eventually got myself my own flat here in Chester, and I'm still living in that flat now today. I've been there nearly 3 years now. So now as I got a roof over my head, I had to maintain some money in my pockets, obviously through the benefits. The benefit system has helped me, obviously Harold Thompson Day Centre, using the use of their telephones, paper materials, computers. I got the benefits that required me to sustain a reasonable lifestyle. My next goal is to look for employment. As I say, in the past I had my own business, limited company. That's my future dream. I would like to be able to have my own limited company again. That's the only one thing I don't have at the moment, is a paid job. I do spend some time volunteering when I can. I love volunteering because it keeps me active, it allows me to keep in connection with people, it keeps me CV, busy with and being active, not sitting down doing nothing, and hopefully one day I can get some more money into the bank. Through the system, I've managed to establish myself as I am now.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's finding themselves suddenly without a home? I mean, I'm interested in how the moment that you knew you were homeless was obviously when you found yourself walking out of the door for the last time. What advice would you give to somebody in that situation?
I would say it's obviously going to be a shock to your system, but it's very important that time is the essence. And one of the biggest places obviously would be Citizens Advice Bureau, Dial House, and definitely Harold Thompson Day Centre, which is a charity. They'll give you as much support as they possibly can, because everybody's background is an individual. We're all different to what's happened to us, but immediately, as soon as you can, get in contact with the organisations, and they'll give you as much response and support as they can immediately. Don't sit back, because you need access at that point in time. You need that help, and those people, those charities are there. So obviously get in touch straight away.
When you were sleeping rough, it must have been quite traumatic in many ways. how did you go about finding a place? Did you just sort of bed down wherever you could find a place, or did you go and look for a particular place, or did you access the Rudy House or any other night shelters?
Initially, I walked the streets and I was trying to find a place where there was some sort of cover, like under a bridge, so if it was to rain I wouldn't get wet because some of the clothes weren't waterproof. But through the information I got from the Harold Thompson Day Centre, they gave me certain places I could go, would be out the wind, out the rain, and as much as I could, I kept putting my name down on what they call a facility sheet, which gets you hopefully a bed for the night. And in some cases I did get actually a bed for the night. It was a building called Crispin House back then. I guaranteed you a bed for the night and breakfast in the morning, and then you have to have your name put in what we call a hat, and if your name's picked out again you might get the bed for the second night. But basically it's trying to find a place that's with the cover, out the rain, where it's hopefully quiet, and just try and get some rest, but make sure you're well wrapped up. It's not a nice thing to be in, but it can happen to anybody. Doesn't matter what your age is, what your race is, what your sex is. It could happen to you one day, but hopefully it never does. But yeah.
I was going to say, yeah. So you talked a little bit about getting some food, but can you tell us more about where people can get food? There's a public image of homeless people rummaging through bins. Now, has that ever happened to you, or did you find food in?
No, I remember people talking about that, and I felt to myself, I'm not going to lower myself to that level, but I believe if I would have got a few more days I probably would have been doing that because I was really hungry. But when they brought out what they so-called now food banks, that is a very good initiative because it will give people this, what they call a voucher. It's a red coloured voucher, and it'll give them 3 days worth of food, which is a godsend. But obviously you need some sort of cooking facility, but it's food, that's what we need, not just a roof over our heads, but food in our stomach. It's a useful system to have. It stops you from starving, but at least the system's there to support you.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
I would say I'm one of the lucky ones, and I'm hoping that never happens to anybody else, but we know in real society we're in really tough times at the moment. The most important thing is try and get yourself to a charity, a special Chester Aid to the Homeless, which is Harold Thompson Day Centre. Get in touch with the Citizens Advice Bureau and also the Dial House. Make yourself counted, don't sit back there and just because you won't be able to do it all on your own. The charities out there will be there to support you and get you back on your feet, in a property, roof over your head, food, and hopefully back to where you want to be, which is basically a nice lifestyle around you.
Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.